What is up, fam? Hey, it's your boy Paul P. Henny, and this is the One Day at a Time podcast with Paul A. Henderson. That's right, we're coming at you every week. As a matter of fact, every Monday, wherever you get your podcast. And fam, do me a favor. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, or leave me a rating on your favorite podcasting platform. Now today, what we're going to talk about is navigating a setback. That's right, we're going to talk about navigating a setback. Now fam, I was actually thinking about my track and field career. You know, I ran track and field in high school and I ran in college. But this thought took me back to 2002, and that was the year that I made the All-State track and field team in Virginia. Now, that was an amazing experience, and it was actually my relay team that made the All-State track team that year, and it was a wonderful experience, something I will never forget. However, that year I faced a major setback. Now, if we really want to get back to the beginning of my track and field career, I was actually in the 8th grade, unofficially, right? We did something called the physical fitness test. Some of y'all might be familiar with that. And I remember a few of my friends and I, we went out there and ran as fast as we could for the mile. And I ended up running 6 minutes and some change. And I actually shocked myself. You know, Paul P. Henny out here running 6 minutes and some change. What's this all about? And I was excited about it. Now, for my friends, you could actually say maybe it was just a part of their conditioning. They were playing basketball and football. And for me, I was happy that I ran a mile in 6 minutes and some change. You couldn't tell me nothing. 6 minutes, what? I remember going home and talking to my mom and letting her know that I ran a mile in about 6 minutes. And her response to me was different. She said, Paul, you might want to consider running cross country. Cross country? You want me to go out there and run cross country? Absolutely not. Now, fam, what you have to realize is that my friends at the time in the neighborhood were playing basketball and football. Now, I played basketball in the neighborhood, right? But it was nothing serious for me. As a matter of fact, my brothers at the time were playing basketball and football. That's it. Nobody was running cross country. But at the same time, I felt like that was an opportunity for me to find my own sport. And fam, I did it, but I am letting you know it was hard. There were many days I would be out there at cross country practice struggling and wondering how in the world did I get myself into this? But the thing was, fam, I was not a quitter. I guess one thing that helped me out, if you want to be real, is that the basketball coach was actually helping out as the cross-country coach. So I felt like in a way I was able to build a relationship with him. He was my brother's coach at the time. He was a really nice guy, really cool guy, one of the cool teachers, if you know what I'm talking about. But he meant business. And cross-country wasn't necessarily his thing, but he helped us out, and I was able to build a relationship with him. That first year was hard. I can't even say that I was excited going into my second year, because that first year I ran cross country. I ended up running track and field, but I didn't run any fast races. I only ran the mile and 2 miles. As a matter of fact, I really only ran the 2 mile, and that is not a fun race to run. That second year, things were starting to pick up. As a matter of fact, during cross country season, I actually got in the 19s, which for me was respectable. But fam, here's when I knew that things were starting to get better. I will never forget the day my track coach at that time came to my classroom, pulled me out of the class, and told me that he was taking me to the Virginia Tech Invitational. Now, if you were running track and field at that time, that was the major indoor track and field meet that everybody wanted to run there to state Virginia, right? And outside of the regionals and states, this was the major meet for indoor track, for indoor track. And so we went out there. I was on a 4x8 team. He trusted me to run on a 4x8 team at that time, and man, we were rolling. See, the thing is, we didn't make it to the state championships in my sophomore year. We performed pretty well on the regional level, indoor and outdoor, but we didn't qualify for states. Going into my junior year, I remember going into that cross country season, and one of my boys from my 4x8 team actually came and joined our cross country team that year. Fam, I was excited because you got to understand, my first couple years at the pep rally, the cross country team wasn't really the exciting team. You had the football team and you had those guys out there, but when it came time for the cross country team, a lot of people would give that little slow clap or whatever. Yay, let's move on until we get to football. But by my junior year, the cross country team, we had a couple of dogs on the team, right? People that were starting to be known around the school as competitors. So I remember going into that year and my boy Devon, he joined the cross country team, and fam, we were rolling. It was Devon, myself, and there were a couple of guys, and all of us ran in the 18s that year, 18 minutes and some change, and this is 3.1 miles. Now for us, we were rolling. For some other schools, they would have thought we weren't that good, but for us, this was the best that we had ever done. And this was an exciting time because we were looking at the long game, getting in really good shape during cross country season in order to run well when it came to that 4x8 for indoor and outdoor track. We knew that cross country was the foundation for us to run well. But fam, here's what happened. I will never forget. It was that practice before our homecoming game. I remember being in pain. I remember being in terrible pain. It was a Friday afternoon. I will never forget it. I told my mom, but I didn't want to make it more serious than it was because, once again, I had run the fastest time that I had ever run, and I was a part of a group of guys that was running well. This was the best that we had ever done in cross country. And once again, we knew we were building towards something for our track and field season. I went to that homecoming game that night, and fam, I was in so much pain. My mom ended up taking me to the doctor, and come to find out that I had to have a procedure. I had a hernia at that time. And it was a devastating blow because, once again, we were running so well. Indoor track season was right around the corner. And all of a sudden, I found out that I had to have an operation and I couldn't run for 2 months. For 2 months, I could not run. And especially those first days, after the procedure, I'm laying in the bed and I remember experiencing loneliness, really experiencing loneliness. It was a very lonely feeling to know that I'm here in the bed recovering while my boys are out there running and still training and building upon what we had already done that year. Eventually, I came back after having about 2 months off. But if you know anything about track and field or trying to get back in shape from running, you literally showed that you're ready to run by being ready to run. Okay? Literally, it was a 1 day at a time process for me getting back in shape. Around that same time, we had a foreign exchange student who had come, really nice guy, a guy named Matt. And Matt came and he joined our team. Now, mind you, we already had 4 guys for this 4x8 team. We had Devon, we had myself, we had Ray, we had K-Partner. Us 4, okay? Us 4 were running on that team. And all of a sudden, Matt comes in. And Matt showed that he had quite a bit of endurance. So all of a sudden, we had 5 guys for a 4-man relay. And I'm doing my best to work myself back into some kind of shape. And fam, it was hard. And so what would happen is we had 4 guys that would run in our general meets, and then we would add K-part for our major meets. So when it came time to the 4 guys, myself, Matt, Ray, and Devon, we would run the general meets. And here's the thing, fam, I was still coming off of that procedure, so I was having a hard time getting in shape. I will never forget the day one of my other teammates saw that I was struggling to get into shape, and I'll never forget this because this was one of my boys, right? He was one of my boys, but I felt like he smelled some blood in the water. He went to my coach and said that he wanted to challenge, of all people, he wanted to challenge me for my spot on the general 4-man rotation. And I'm like, bro, you gotta be serious. You know that I'm coming back from a surgery and you want to try to, basically, I felt kick me while I was down. I can't blame him, right? Because while we were boys, he still wanted to compete with me. You know, he wanted to see if he could get a spot on that team. And can I really blame him? No, but I'm like, come on, dog. You know your boy's working his way back from a surgery. I will never forget that day in practice. Your boy was serious. We were stretching in the auditorium because it was kind of cold outside that day. And I remember being so serious. I had this look on my face. My coach looked at me and said, uh-oh. Paul got the eye of the tiger. Paul got the eye of the tiger. And at the time, I hadn't seen Rocky 3, so I wasn't sure about this whole eye of the tiger thing. All I knew was this day, man, you are going to get my best shot. And gratefully, that day, I performed well enough to keep my spot. But here's the thing, fam. When it came time for the indoor state championships, I still wasn't ready. Once again, we had 5 people for that 4-man rotation, and I was not ready to be in that 4-man rotation just yet. I remember supporting my teammates. You know, I wanted to be a good teammate, but the reality is, on the inside, I was dealing with some frustration. I was frustrated because I'm like, this is our first time making it to the state championships, and I'm not able to run. I'm here as an alternate rather than being out there competing with my boys. They ended up running, and they ran okay that day. And then it came time for outdoor season. And by the time outdoor season is coming around, I'm still practicing. I'm still getting better one day at a time. I'm practicing. I'm getting better one day at a time. But I will never forget, it was probably toward the beginning of that outdoor season, my track coach comes up and he pulls the 4x8 team aside. I believe he pulled all 5 of us that were competing aside that day. And I will never forget this. He said, guys, we have a chance to really do something on the state level this year. Yes, we've done well regionally, but we have a chance to do something well on the state level this year. But if I'm being honest with you, and fam, he looked right at me. He said, Paul, you're the weakest link. Fam, I was heated. I'm like, no, this man did not just call me out in front of my boys. Now, granted, for him, it was a motivation tactic, and it worked, right? But I'll be honest, that is something that I had to deal with. I dealt with it because the way he meant it was not exactly the way that I took it. But the reality is, it got me going for that day. It comes time for the pin relays, and by this time, I'm pretty much running evenly, with Matt. And once again, Matt was a very nice guy, but at the same time, I wanted to run in the pin relays. Last year, I traveled along with the team as an alternate, for another event, but I wanted to run. My coach said, Paul and Matt, I don't know. Y'all are running so evenly right now. The best thing that I can do is just flip a coin. Fam, coach flipped a coin and I won. But coach actually came to me and said, Paul, Matt's a foreign exchange student, and this is his only year in America. Man, how awesome would it be for you to just give up your spot just this one time because you know you have next year to run at the Penn Relays? I thought about it and I said, you know what? You're right. And I walked over to Matt and I gave him my spot on that 4x8 relay team. And fam, Matt had the time of his life. I mean, he had a wonderful experience. As a matter of fact, years later, he would actually reach out to me on Facebook and he would let me know how much that meant to him, that he had that opportunity to run at the Penn Relay. So I don't regret it. I don't regret it one bit. But like my coach told me, he said, Paul, you give up your spot for the Penn Relays state championship, it's your time to shine. Because by this time, he saw my confidence coming back. He saw that I was running better. And he wanted me to have that opportunity at the state championships. So that outdoor season, outside of the Penn Relays, we only lost one race headed into the state championships. There was a team that came down from New Jersey and they finished first place. We got second place. But outside of that, in the Penn Relays, we won every single race. Every Saturday, there was an invitational. Nansemond River won. Every Saturday, we won. District championships, we won. Regional championships, we won. And then we go into the state championships. Even though we had won all of these races, we go into the state championships ranked number 15. Because there were other regions around the state of Virginia that actually had stronger teams. But I love something that my coach did. Coach Roundtree, he came on the bus before we left the school, headed to the state championships. And he said something that stuck with all of us. He did something that I like to call instilled belief in each of us. He looked at Devon and said, Devon, 157. Paul, 2 minutes. Rachel, 2 minutes. Capart, 2 minutes. What does that equal? We said 7:57. He said exactly. And then he got off the bus. All of a sudden, we felt like, hey, perhaps we can compete with these guys because all of us saw this as an attainable goal. We knew what we had been going through one day at a time, training together. My boys were around me and they were supporting me as I was coming back from my procedure. There were times they would say, come on, Paul, you can do it. Come on, Paul, we need you. And they were supporting me. We knew the practice that we had put in. As a matter of fact, there were days we did push-up after push-up after push-up after push-up after push-up. And we knew that we were in there together, working hard together. And we said, you know what our coach is saying, we feel like we can do it. We get to the state championships. Devon goes out there and ran an awesome, an amazing first leg. He actually ran about 156. And then it's your boy's turn. It's my turn. I'm second leg. And I'm a little nervous because I'm like, we're in first place, okay? We're in first place in the state championships, and I have the baton. Now, at this time, I had a rush of thoughts, if you will, that kind of hit me. Because once again, I couldn't run for 2 months. I had a setback that a lot of my competitors, that a lot of people that I was going up against likely did not have. And I'm here in the state championship in first place, and it's up to me just to help hold it together. And fam, guess what? Your boy did his part. I held it together and I brought that baton in tied for first place. I mean, my coach told me that there were people in the stands that were wondering who is Nansemond River, because at the time we were known in the regions, but on the state level, who are these guys? Who are these guys? Rachel comes in. He does his thing. He still brings it in tied for about first place. And then Capart gets that baton and he does his thing. The other two guys, Capart was more of a 400 runner that really helped out our 4x8 team. And he went out there, he did his best, and he ran against two guys that competed very well on the 800 level. They passed him, but I tell you what, fam, to go from being ranked number 15 to Capart bringing that thing in third place, I mean, it was an amazing feeling. And for us, we outperformed the expectation, and we ended up running 7 minutes and 57 seconds. And for us, that actually ended up having us ranked nationally by the end of that race, which was an amazing feeling. After that race, I thought about some of what I had gone through that year, going back to that cross country season, thinking that I'm running well, and then all of a sudden having this setback of a surgery that took me out for 2 months. And the loneliness that I felt on those first days. And then the frustration of going through the process of having to get back in shape after I felt like I'd worked so hard already, and then I had to take a couple of months off. And then the frustration of losing my position because we had a guy who was legitimately good, okay? Who was able to run better than I was at the time. And the fact that I was not able to run at the Penn Relay, fam, I'm not gonna lie, as much as I celebrated with my team like a good teammate, I still wanted to run because I had never run there before. But here's the thing. The only way I was able to work through that setback was to show up. I showed up every day, right? Yes, I dealt with the loneliness. Yes, I dealt with the frustration. And fam, it was real. It was real. Those were two real things that I definitely dealt with over the course of the year. But what did I do? One, I kept showing up. I showed up one day at a time because the only way that I could get back in shape was to keep showing up. The results were not going to happen overnight. I had to keep showing up one day at a time. One day at a time. Go to practice one day at a time. Go to the next meet, okay? This meet didn't go as well. I'm going to show back up to practice the next day, and hopefully I run better in the next meet. And eventually I saw progress. Another thing I did, fam, is I leaned into my coach. You know, he did have some ways of encouraging me that perhaps some people would not use, okay? But the reality is he saw the best in me. He saw the best in me, and he knew what I was capable of doing, which is why he kept encouraging me. He kept encouraging me. And when I came off that track in the state championship, he was the first one to give me a hug. The first one to give me a hug and tell me how proud of me he was. And lastly, I'll say this. I really had the support of my teammates. Man, my team, they would come and say, Paul, we need you. Paul, we need you. Come on, man. You can do it. You can do it. And at the time, I was like, yeah, I can do it, and so on and so forth. And I didn't realize until looking back how much their words actually meant to me. They said, Paul, we need you. Paul, we need you. And they were there to support me along the way. So family, as we wrap up today, I really want you to think about where you are when it comes to facing any sort of setback. Perhaps you've already overcome a setback, and there are some things that you can think about that helped you that can translate to any future setbacks. But maybe you're in a place right now where you're dealing with a setback, or you want to be prepared in case it ever happens again. There's three things that I want to encourage you to do. One, keep showing up. That's right. You have to keep showing up one day at a time. Two, hopefully you have a coach or a mentor, somebody that you just look up to that can just offer a bit of encouragement. They're not going to be judgmental, but they'll just be there to offer an encouraging word, or perhaps just offer support. Just offer support as you navigate the process. And three, lean into your community. Who are those friends? Who are those colleagues that you can trust or that you can be around? Perhaps it's a friend that may not be working with you, that may not be in school with you, but you can talk to them because you might be in a similar place in your life. Have those friendships. Lean into those friendships. And you know what? Perhaps you're at a place when you realize, hey, I could use a community. I could use a coach. I could use a community. What I want you to do is join my community. I've actually put a link in the show notes for where you can easily join my community on Facebook, and there we'll be able to offer each other encouragement. We'll be able to post our victories. We'll be able to post our wins. Perhaps we'll be able to post successful quotes or quotes or strategies that have helped us along the way, or strategies that are currently helping us in our journey. Because here's the thing, fam. I really want you to make it. I have goals. I know you have goals. And remember, like I always say, we're in this together. We're learning, we're growing, and together we'll continue to overcome and navigate our setbacks one day at a time. You got this.